We're about to talk about a subject that actually me starting to talk already makes me feel a little bit teary inside. I actually am quite emotional about the subject we talk about because it's really close to my heart and something I feel really strongly about. And so if I cried, forgive me for it. But we're here to talk today about the guilt that we feel as mothers and business owners, the guilt that we feel when we leave our kids at home and go to build a business, especially when there's people in society and in our families and the people around us that expect us to be one thing or be the other. And so you feel guilt in your business when you're not home with your kids. And then when you are at home with your kids and maybe playing with them or out with the family, you still feel guilty because you can't be present with them 100% because you still want to be in the business as well. It's really, it's a really horrible feeling as a mother to feel like you're doing the wrong thing by being a business owner. I can't think of any other time that I've felt more miserable about myself when people were judging me and shaming me and making me feel guilty in my environment for being a business owner.
Of course, Gab, that makes total sense because, women as well as men, hopefully, want to be really, really good parents. So it's inherently born in a mother to want to be a great mother. And of course, what a wonderful thing, because when we are good quality parents, we tend to bring up well-adjusted kids. But women have a load that leads or sort of adds to that guilt element that men typically don't have. And that comes from a lot of the conditioning that women have experienced growing up. So if you go back into, say, the 50s as an example, the whole concept of a good woman was a good woman should stay at home and serve the man and not work and look after the children. And if she did those things, she looked after the man and she looked after the children, she was a good woman. And the world's changed a lot, and there's been a lot of good, positive things happening for women who are now actively out there doing things that they love, building their own careers, etc. But a lot of what women experience is still hangover from that sort of patriarchal thinking where, they're not good people unless they're the perfect wife and the perfect mother. And so it puts a lot of pressure on them that male business owners just don't have.
Yeah, Perry, for me, I was born inherently more a strong-willed and independent kind of person, and my background shaped me that way. I was always the girl that was kind of self-sufficient, so it led into me being a business owner because I wanted the things like freedom and lifestyle, financial success. I always wanted those things, so being a business owner was always a priority. And then I had my two children, and my life completely changed. I wanted to be an amazing mother. I wanted to be available. But along with that came all the conditioning and beliefs of my family and what a good mother should be. I know for me that I came into my husband's family that was very patriarchal, and they made me feel like I wasn't okay because I wasn't a good mother. So the fact that I always used to say that I was mother of the year because I couldn't properly organize my son's birthday. It wasn't that wasn't a strength of mine, or that I would always forget to bring things to my son's school, like I'd forget his glasses or I'd forget his library bag. But I was made to feel really, really a lot of guilt around that, especially because I own my own business. My family would actually sit around me and get angry at me because they would say things like, I can't believe you're letting, I can't believe Pete's doing so much around the house for you. I can't believe that he's going out to work and coming home and you haven't made dinner. Things like that. And I would actually like that. I was already feeling enough guilt inside because I wanted to be so available to my kids and I just wanted to love them as much as I could. But on the other side, I still wanted to honor the parts of me that wanted to be a business owner. And so on the inside, it was enough. But on the outside for society and all of my environment to tell me I was still doing the wrong thing and I couldn't rely on the people around me to help me out, that was really hard. The guilt is really hard. Yeah, and it starts to compromise everything in your life. Not only do you feel miserable at home with your family, thinking, I could do more, I could be more, I need to be more perfect than I am at the moment, but then it starts sabotaging your business and your business growth and what you wanted out of your business in the first place, like the freedom and the lifestyle you wanted in the first place, because you're not putting in 100% at business in making it the self-managed business that you want, and then you're not putting in 100% at home because you can't give 100% of your love and care because you're thinking about all the guilt and shame for everything else that you're doing in your life.
Oh yeah, now adding another element here, and that element is this: that once you're caught in that cycle, I guarantee the person that's not looked after the most is yourself, because you're so busy trying to be this as a businesswoman, and then you're overcompensating because you're feeling guilty, so you're trying to be a really perfect mum, and then trying to give something to your partner or your husband. And you know, where are you? So oftentimes when I've worked with business owners in this situation, they end up burnt out, run down, and of course they're not making good business decisions because they're really being pushed around by some pretty uncomfortable emotions.
You are last on the priority list. It just is the way it is. You don't get a look in on a self-care and a self-love perspective.
Thanks, Gab. One of the things we'd like to share with you now is if you are a businesswoman who is also a mom and having to deal with some of these challenges between your two individual roles, is we'd like to talk to you about the fact that there are two specific aspects of your personality that are actually at play. We call them in this work, we call them subpersonalities. So you have the businesswoman who obviously wants to be successful in business, and the mother nurturer who wants to be a loving, giving, caring, supportive mother. So both of these parts will be in conflict as you move about being a businesswoman. You'll start to feel guilty about not being at home. And when you're at home with your kids, there'll be parts of you that will be wanting to go and be working on your business. And so there'll be quite a frustration and an imbalance. Gabrielle, can you elaborate a little bit more on some of your experiences with this internal conflict?
Yeah, Georgina, I was actually lucky enough that I had this work and I had the tools in this work that was able to actually help me see those two parts. And once you can see that there's two parts vying for your attention, I could see the businesswoman and I could see the mother nurturer and I could see the guilt that was between those. The tools in this work actually helped me to alleviate the conflict. I truly, with every fiber in my body, believe that I now have it all between my business and my family and looking after myself. A lot of people look at me, I've even written it in blogs, and I've got retaliation that they don't believe that you can have it all. But through this work, I truly, truly believe that now that conflict is gone and I can honor both parts of my personality, that I really feel so blessed to have the life that I do and the business that I do.
Yeah, from my perspective, there's a couple of things to say to that. I mean, once you start to see those two parts, a couple of things starts to happen, and you've already addressed one, and I'm going to go into that deeper on it from a business perspective, but you can have both. You can have lots of time with your family and your loved ones and run a business, and I'm also a testimony to that. I've done the same thing. And we're going to get to that because that's practical, but also in regards to how you start to understand these two different parts, a big part of that sort of fleshing through what's really true for you. So once you meet those parts, and especially the mother part, the mother nurturer part, that's got all these guilt messages that, you know, I should be doing this and I should be doing that and I should be doing this. As you start to inspect that part, you'll start to see, well, what's really true and how much of what it believes is just a hangover from what your parents taught you or what society's told you you're supposed to be. And so when you've worked through that, you sort of come to a far more authentic place about, well, who do I really want to be as a mother, or for the men watching this, as a father? And I think that's really important. And just to address the business perspective that you mentioned before, a lot of people are really programmed to work really hard, and often a lot of the women that I've worked with, women business owners that suffer this particular pattern, this guilt, they're really programmed to give, because that's how they get validation. Now, that also comes back into their work ethic. So at work, they'll tend to be overgiving. At home, they tend to be overgiving. And as we've already said, they put themselves last. Well, when you start to do the inner work and you start to honor the parts, and you go, okay, well, my mother nurturer wants this and my business owner wants this. You start to work with them together. So you set up your business so that you can give both those parts what they want. And that's pretty simple. But again, as I said, most people with this pattern also have a really strong work ethic. Now, when we talk about a strong work ethic, if it's ultra strong, it starts to move into what we call dysfunctional territory. Instead of working smart, you'll just work hard all the time because that's how you get your validation. So, you know, if you haven't been looking after the children as much as you like, at least you can say, well, I'm working really hard at work. It's really important, if you really want to address this, not just to do the inner work, but arrange your business so that you don't have to work in it all the time. And that means following certain key principles. You start to make yourself redundant in every position in the business. You start to learn to delegate, to set up systems so that you don't have to be needed in the workplace to earn money. You can be at home with your kids and your business is running without you. And of course, that's one of our specialties. We teach business owners to do that. But that's just as important, Gab and Georgina, in my mind, as doing the inner work.
Yeah, Perry, I've just got a quick example that has come to mind. I've been working with this client for about a year now, and she's probably one of the clients that has had the most amount of mother guilt that I've ever come across. Her profits in working with us has probably tripled in the last year, and she still. It's taken me a long time for her to realize that she needs a cleaner in her home so that she can be in her highest dollar productive zone. Now, this is one of the easiest examples that you can see with guilt of how you can make more profit in your business straight away. Now, she is making a really great amount of money, but she still felt so much guilt that she needed to be one that cleaned the house and the one that does the bookkeeping, that she couldn't actually delegate those jobs out because there was too much guilt around it.
Yeah.
Now you can imagine.
By the way, that's why I said before that people with this pattern, can you see now why I said they often have, because they're such overgivers, they also have a really strong work ethic because they're getting validation from it. And that work ethic means that they're doing dumb things, like you've just said, cleaning the house, when that time should be spent building a business so that it operates without them.
That's exactly right. And what I was going to say is, in monetary terms, so people can understand this, she can either pay $30 an hour for a cleaner, or she can make $250 an hour in her business, or whatever her highest dollar productive zone is. You can obviously see that delegating it out is the smart, profitable thing to do in her business, but without alleviating that guilt around not being the person in the household doing the cleaning, or the person in the business doing every job and having a really great work ethic. She's not in her highest dollar productive zone. She's not making as much profit as she could. It's a really simple, easy example of how you're undermining your business profits and not moving towards that self-managed business.
The truth is, the only way to really effectively transform these patterns is to do deep inner work. Anything else that you do, any other strategies that you try and use, they might work for a week or two, but you will revert to your natural pattern. This is why you have to do deep inner work if you finally want to transform yourself so that you become a different person who can run the business successfully. If you don't do deep inner work, the pattern will stay in place. It's really important, if you're going to do inner work and deep inner work, that you find coaches that can read your unconscious territory. That means that they are able to see how you operate. They can see more about you than you can see about yourself. That means when you work with a coach that can read your unconscious territory, you'll get breakthroughs far faster than working with a conventional coach who would take months to identify the actual challenges and problems in the first place and take a lot longer to transform them.